welcome to another episode of Ricans. I'm Spooky Lou, and this is Horrifying Mo.
Spooky! What's up, mi gente? Welcome back. Dude, I have some bad news.
Oh, please tell, please tell.
I am ever so excited to hear this. I was like, just like I said, browsing through the internet. Yeah, this, like, that, like, and went, ooh. And just announced, Amazon and MGM are now together to create the live action version of dramatic pause Ultron, Defender of the Universe. My hairs are just saying that is already giving me chills up and down my spine, bro. Can you see? Look at that, bro. What?
Do you think
I heard it. I lost it, bro. Lost it.
Do you think he's a good fit for that, though?
Honestly, I think so. Here's the thing I like about Cavill. Cavill stays true to character. He will go to source material if need to. And again, Superman as an example. The Witcher. He stood fast when they were creating The Witcher to the books, to the original books that were creating of it. So he wanted to stay. He wanted Geralt to stay within the original character. So whatever character he's playing on this, because like I said, the announcement that he's starring in it, what part? Not known. I mean, I was discussing with someone else. I said, "Yeah, he's gonna be this," and it's like someone said in one of the threads, but what if they're gonna make him Keith?" I'm like, okay, I get it. In the show, the animated show, they're kind of young characters,
exactly,
and that I could see him playing the king, though. I could see him playing the king if that would be the case. But if you're trying to gear to a more, adult audience, then you're gonna get someone. I mean, again, he still looks young. You can still play the part of Keith. If that was the case, and then everybody else would, fall in line with that. And again, the storyline doesn't necessarily have to start as an origin. It could be already past that. It could be at the point where, like in the animated series, when they already rid, one evil and a new evil appears, and they now have to reform the force. Like say after maybe 5 or 10 year drought of peace, something else comes into. I mean, again, there's so many ways to look at it, but I look at it as if he does what I think he does best, researches and sees what the story's baseline is about, and keep to it, and he'll keep to the core of it. That I can see happening, and that means for us as fans, we get to enjoy it in a way that reminisces of when we first watched it as kids.
I'm gonna disagree. I like Cavill. I like him a lot. I agree with some of the other people when you mentioned it. They say he might be too old. Voltron, when you think of Voltron, you think of the people that control it as between maybe 17, 24, 20, 23. So him in there, he doesn't look young. When he played Superman, he played the role because he fit the age of Superman. Witcher, again, same thing. But to play one of the Voltron guys, the only thing I can think of is, like you said, if he's playing it later on, like maybe one of the offsprings or something to the original crew. Maybe the king. I can't see him as a king. He's too big of a name to stay behind and not join in.
True, because
too big of a name.
As I was discussing with someone else before, it's like sometimes in certain productions, like to get an ensemble will cost a lot. But if you get one who is the core, the ensemble will follow. Case in point, Power Rangers. Basically, the ensemble of the Rangers themselves are relatively young, unknown actors, but they did a great job, as far as playing the characters they do. That's why they invested their money more on Cranston to become the voice of Zordon. He's a name. So at least as far as he is concerned, and of course he's acting as their leader in a sense, that makes sense. But that also lends to the cast following the lead, because you don't want to look like some sort of second-rate actor in front of someone next, like come on, Cranston. You don't want to look like a second-rate actor. You want to look the part, so you're gonna follow the lead. So in this case, if he was the lead, and as the storyline goes, as I put it. If it was years later, or like you said, an offspring of it, and they had to reform them, at least I know with him, he's going to stay true to form to what the character originally was. As
And
far as the anime is concerned, bringing it live action, depending on how, which way they're going. Are they going live action as campy, or they're going like live action, like say, um, how do I call it? This one, Pacific Rim. If they have that Pacific Rim feel to it, yeah, I could see that happening. And that photo there is him younger when he was first playing Superman.
fudge around. They could do a prequel, a whole prequel before the Voltron kids took over. There was the Lions and another group.
And the kids found the lions because there was a need to find them. Because
Exactly.
as the opposite, instead of the end, yes, the prequel that led to the kids in the future,
You
which is
did.
the parents who had assumed the role as being, the Voltron force. And of course, when their roles were already finished, they had families, blah blah blah, moved on.
Yeah. I also, if they, how should I say this? If they, it would be a big disappointment, a very big disappointment if they use them for the voice of the rats.
Oh my God, really? The voice
Yeah.
of the rat? Oh my God, are you kidding me?
Yeah, that
I
would
mean,
be a big disappointment.
I better be a big rat. But
Then I
yeah,
could,
I'm excited for this. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this because, you know, Voltron for some of us is really big. I mean, how many afternoons have I rushed home from school just to make sure I'm ready to check out Voltron or check out any of the animated that they've come out with? I'm like, who do you think should play the other lions? Wow, that's a
I
good
see what you're
question. I
saying.
mean, if you had to pick, and I remember seeing this.
But remember, you can't pick big names now because now
True,
he's the money. He's the one that's going to make the most money.
this is true.
So
What I did see in an AI version of the trailer, and it's on there. Believe it or not, they had names like what's his my God, Spider Man, um,
which one? Not
the newest one, Tom,
Middleton. Hiddleton.
huh? Not
Hiddleton.
Hiddleton. No, that's Loki. That's Loki.
Uh,
Uh, Tom
was it?
something. Tom Holland. Tom
Uh,
Holland.
no,
Tom Holland as one of the lions. I think the blue lion, because I guess he was going to play the smart one, because the blue lion was the smartest one. The yellow lion was the big guy, and I forgot who they chose for that one. And the was it the yellow lion? That would be the princess who took over for one of the group that wind up sacrificing himself. They rescued. Well, he sacrificed himself.
which was
He
Lance.
got captured. He got captured, and he wound up dying. And then they needed. That's when the Princess Aaliyah, she took over as the Yellow Lion from that point forward. So again, one of the names Tom Holland was mentioned. I forgot the others, but I was because I didn't recognize the others too well. But if I had to choose, I mean, it would definitely be relatively one of the younger actors and actresses that have done something. Like I would pick from, say, Dune. If I mean, I don't know if I want one Zendaya playing the part of it, but I could see Haley Steinfeld playing the Yellow Lion. I
Okay.
could see Haley Steinfeld because there are scenes where they've gotten out of their lions and they've had gone, excuse me, on missions where they went and infiltrated stations. So if they had to do a scene like that, I could see her doing some fantastic stuff when it comes to physical, I call it physical work, fighting and all that because of her stand in Hawkeye. So I could see that.
You,
But again, as far as anyone else, those are the only two I could see right now. The third one, not so much, not yet.
unless they're gonna use Cavill as one of the blue guys. Remember the blue guy, the bad
Hmm.
guy, Prince
Hmm.
Orkan or something.
Hmm.
They could use him like that. He doesn't necessarily have
They
to be.
could. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. They just said starring in, so he's a focal. Now, is he the antagonist of the film, or is he the hero of the film? It's one or the other.
Yeah.
But either way, I'd love to see what I'm excited to see what they're going to do with that. Real excited on that because it's all of our dreams come true in a sense that now the technology is here to create that. Like if you would have done this 20 years ago, it'd look like something out of like this movie called Robot Jocks. It was slow and cumbersome. The robots would look great, but there'd be miniatures that they zoom in on to get the movement, but not fast enough. Now you give like an effect like Pacific Rim. Now we're talking, especially the way they did the how you call it the Power Rangers when the Zord became one Megazord. That's great. That was
And
nicely done.
here's a
So
question: do you think they should use new actors or use other superhero actors? Meaning people that actors who've played in superhero movies. I'm assuming.
I would say maybe a little bit of both.
Because I mean, to be honest, I would have picked Cavill to play in Thundercats if they ever did it.
Well, I saw another AI, makeup of the Thundercats, and they had Henry Cavill playing Lionel.
The one I saw had Brad Pitt playing
See,
Lion.
and it's like when you look at it, you go, "Damn, that looks good.
Yeah.
That's really look good as what they're doing." So, to answer that question, I'd say maybe a little of both, or again, stating back to the Power Rangers, get fresh faces. Because some of the faces they're some of the other faces are aging as you put it. So eventually, the famed word reboot's going to come into play, and that
Hmm.
means another generation of actors to play these characters, which it's inevitable in that respect. Or if AI becomes like a stale a tool to be used, then basically their faces will last forever and the voices will last forever because AI will recreate them. People love them, people will recreate them. I would say, according to what you say, maybe newer actors or a little bit of both, like one main and the rest to follow that will eventually carry the torch forward as far as the story goes with that particular franchise.
Yeah.
I mean, do I see Voltron as a franchise? Maybe, maybe. I mean, a lot of things have become franchises. It's just a matter of how you tell the story. I mean, we thought Pacific Rim was one and done, but eventually, they got into a second, which was, and because the third, there's a lot of talks of the third, and the fact that they're trying to get Guillermo del Toro to come back because he's the one that originated the first. And even Charlie Hunnam, who was in the first but never in the second, said he'd come back and do it if he's directing. So anything's possible.
Hmm.
And now on to the subject matter at hand. With nerd news being done, let's get this thought of ours. This month we're dedicating our discussions to horror. Yes, and all its beauty and glory. Whether it's comic books, whether it's TV, whether it's movies, I mean, I don't care what it is. If it's horror, we'll talk about it because, quite frankly, it's fun stuff. And with that in mind, I'd like to start off this one with a comic review that I've done, and I really love this storyline that it was done. And the name of the comic book is called Noctera, by Tony Daniels. He was the one that done the Batman That Laughs. Oh my God, good stuff. I got some stuff here that I could tell you as far as what you call it, the storyline, because it's a dystopian future, right? And that's the well, I would like to call it a hero of the show, Valentina Riggs, short Val, right? And she's a ferryman, and she transports people using an 18, people and goods town to town across America. Why? because one particular day the earth went dark. As to the reasons why and what happened, was the sun blocked out? That the sun, you know, was it a permanent? It's still in a mystery as to it. But the effects of the dark started transforming people into what they call creatures called shades. They're vampiric in nature, but they more or less drain life force from people. And when people get exposed to the shade, to the dark, it's a slow transformation. Believe it or not, the only thing that can save them is direct sunlight, because for that reason, the sunlight is the one thing that kills the shade. And again, it's a big mystery because she's a ferryman getting people back and forth, and then her brother becomes infected. So now the next trip is one of great importance to find a cure, or find this what they call safe haven, that will help cure her brother. For some reason, they have this miracle light that shines ultraviolet like the sun, that kills the infection, that creates shades. But along the way, she is pursued. I think I would like to say either an assassin, body hunter. You know what? Assassin slash bounty hunter that's after her. And again, reasons why, not to divulge too much, but like I said, this is one that you get into when you start reading this, because it's like, who and what and why is this happening? Why did the earth go dark? What was it? Natural? Was it supernatural? Was it an effect of the cosmos? What? But when you find out, you go, oh damn, really? And then the shades, they're creatures. They get transformed. There were once people, animals, and people that were transformed to these shades that just relentless in pursuit of just capturing you and just sucking life out of you, killing you. Period. But they're very, they're not one to mess with. So I give this one a definite great 2 thumbs up. I've been reading pretty much all 3 books right now, and I remember, which is the bigger end of this, when I went to Comic-Con 2 years ago, and I saw Tony Daniels, got online to get my book signed. I even picked up a what you call it, a cover variant of the Batman That Laughs that he also signed. And I got that, and we were talking about this, and someone brought up the subject and said, "Hey, did anybody pick that up yet?" And he said, "Yes, I'm in talks with someone right now, and they're picking it up. I don't know if it's going to be a movie or a TV series." I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "That would be so good." Well, ladies and gentlemen, just found out a couple of days ago while doing some research in regards to this, and Noctera found out that Netflix is the one that picked it up, and Netflix is in the part of production. Not been told yet whether it's going to be a series or or a film. I much less don't even know if they're going to go live or anime. So again, but Netflix is behind this, and that's exciting news, because now it's truly going to come to life. Noctera, and I'm excited to see what they're going to do with this.
You're gonna make me go get it now because you got me interested now.
Go get it.
Yes.
Go get it.
No,
Telling
man.
you, go get it. Everyone that's listening to the sound of my voice, go get it. It is a great read, and trust me, when you have one, you're gonna want more. You're gonna want more. I think it's like I know it's a 3 graphic novel series, and I think it's about to end. No, that's a different show. This one's still continuing. So I've been still picking up the issues and keeping up with the storyline as it goes.
So they got
So,
paperbacks already. 3 paperbacks.
oh yeah, they have paperbacks. 3 of them, parts 1, 2, and 3. You give you enough time right there to absorb all of that before it even comes to the screen. But when it does, I'm really looking forward to see this verse brought onto the screen, so that we can all enjoy it in that respect. Because you know, like we talked about before, things getting translated to the big screen, it's it's something that is it's so good, because of the fact that we have the kind of, and I say again, tech, that we can now create the characters that are now drawn. Now the imagination knows no limit, both on paper and on the screen. small or large, you can now create these characters and creatures and universes that when you read it, you go, wow. And then when you see it, you even go, wow, what? I mean, when they brought up the Lord of the Rings, I mean, we saw the animated version of it, and we're like, okay, cool. And then and then those who've read the book, in your mind, you saw in your own mind your interpretation of what the Shire and all the different realms look like. But then when they brought it to the screen, masterpiece, bro. It is a definite piece of cinematic masterpiece, short and the extended version.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you figure with the short version, it was like, okay, they cut out some stuff, blah blah blah, okay. And then when they brought out, and it was still good. And then when they gave you the extended, the full version, all three films, you're just sitting there, just,
Yeah, they
you're
gave you
just,
the
oh,
they gave you the numbing version and the butt numbing version.
hell yeah,
From
bro.
sitting down too long. Yeah.
Oh my god! And it was an experience to say the least. To say the least, and I enjoyed every moment of it.
Yeah.
I look forward to what Nocteria is going to look like on the big screen, or small screen, for that matter. Because quite frankly, it is one of those books that the story needs this. It needs to be up there on the screen. People can fall in love with it and see, because everybody loves it. When it comes to a dystopian future, like most of the people are already associating it with The Walking Dead, or if not, The Last of Us. So here's a different version of it, still a dystopian future, but with a twist.
Hmm.
It's like with The Walking Dead and The Last of Us, it was a sickness or a fungus that turned people into this. But what if on the day, like any normal day like this one, the world went dark? And then after it went dark, people over time became these shades. And then those that survived lived in different parts of the country, but that country has a wall surrounding it with solar lights so that the shade won't get in, and live life that way. And the only way you get across anywhere is through the ferryman, which is what the character Val plays. She
It,
ferries people and goods from one town or one village to the next.
it reminds me of a couple of stories. Two stand out. One is 30 Days of Night.
Yes.
It reminds me of that a little bit. And the other one, it reminds me of the Will Smith movie with the vampires that he blows up at the end. What's the name of that?
Oh,
Last, last.
no.
What was it called?
I am no. That's I am robot. That's not the one.
No.
So he's got so many,
Yeah.
different types of films. It's like I know exactly which one you're talking about, and there talks about doing a second film.
Yes.
There are talks of doing a second film because if anyone has ever seen it, and if you pop up with the name for me, thank you. But I remember this much: when I first watched it on DVD, they had a deleted scene. Right? It was a deleted ending. It's an alternate ending, and it still could be used though. And the way it can be used is because no spoiler on this, that whoever has watched it, but in the end, he pretty much sacrificed himself and blew up his facility, supposedly with him in it, supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
to the vampire horde that came there. And boom, gone. Right? And then you think he's dead. In the alternate version, that didn't happen. When he let the vampire retrieve his mate and disappeared off into the night, they then fast forward, he's on the road leaving New York City to what is supposedly maybe a sanctuary that's working on the cure, like he was.
Isn't it called The Last
And he had
Ride?
the cure, and he had found the cure on hand. He finally got the cure on hand, and he was heading to that, and then boom, fade to black. And I'm not mistaken, this second one is Posey's going to have him and Michael B. Jordan in the film. Now, it's a question whether or not if it's a flashback scene with him, and then Michael B. Jordan is the star, or he's just at the facility that he's going to. So it's still up in the air.
But
But they did mention that they're working on making this happen. I'm like, wow. And
the
again,
the nocturnal part where they're living in a a town, a village, or whatever was that reminds me of when she got in that movie with Will Smith. At the end, when she got to the place, it was the
mhm,
same. It was like a compound, a huge
a
state.
huge compound.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So same ending, but instead of the woman, it's him. Like she escaped, but and then he closed the door, but in essence, then blew himself up. But the alternate ending, showing him utilizing, like letting them go, they left him alone, moved on, and
I
then he
wonder.
went into a car and then took off over there.
I wonder if those two movies were the ones that, or several movies, inspired Tony Daniel to actually write this stuff. Because you get inspired by other people's work.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. Maybe even the video game didn't take inspiration from The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead took inspiration from
yeah.
that film as well. Because and it was funny. If you watch this movie, there was one mention of one particular scene that where he was, I think, hunting in Times Square. He's got his rifle, and on the marquee
It had the
they have
Batman
the
symbol.
Batman Superman symbol on there,
Yeah,
which is for, of course, World's Finest,
yeah,
which is kind of what we watched when it said Batman v Superman. It was the same freaking logo. I'm like, what?
yeah, yeah,
Oh my God. It's like, and this was like before Cavill, before Affleck, before the Snyderverse, all of that. And I'm like, damn. It's like what you call it, The Simpsons, always dictating something in the future. You just don't know, but then it happens. You just go, what? What? I saw that, but that was in a cartoon. Like, what?
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like I said, it would not be surprising because there's so many stories out there, zombie or other like, where it's a dystopian future. Either by war, uh, by sickness. Either way, there's so many stories out there, and I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. But one of them, of course, inspires what we watch and we enjoy it. Walking Dead, The Last of Us, and hopefully, when it comes to the screen, Noctera. Because remember that's from Tony Daniels and Snyder. And I'm telling you, these two put something together that is, I mean, it was great storytelling. Great storytelling. There were some twists and turns and moments where I'm turning the page and going, what? And other moments I'm going, oh, didn't see that one coming. And there it is. And that's the thing you like about a story. It's like you want to get surprised. And then when you think you figured it out, you get slapped at something that makes you go, what? I didn't see that one coming.
No,
This is a good one. A good one.
it's gonna be
And, huh?
it's gonna be interesting because I've never seen it. So to me, it'll be brand new. I've
Get it,
never
bro.
heard of it or anything.
Get it.
Now
It's worth the read, bro. It is
I'm gonna
worth
get
the
the
read.
graphic novels.
And I'm going to give kudos to JJL Comics, okay? Jay, thank you. He was the one that recommended me that one. And the other one, which you saw, which was Stray Dogs. That one there. Both those came from recommendations from him. Thank you, brother, for those. They were great reads. And definitely, again, looking forward for it to come on the screen. I am so looking forward to it. And I'm seeing that we have reached our first mark in which we need to take a commercial break, unfortunately. We have to go into the commercial zone, the zombie-like commercial zone, where you'll look and maybe you'll buy. Until then, we shall return, turn. Rise, I have returned from the abyss of commercials. Oh
Hi,
God.
mommy.
Daddy, welcome back again for another edition of Nerdy Ricans. Okay, I'm Monster Mo,
I'm Spooky Louie.
and next up on our horror list, I'd like to introduce you to the man behind She Wolf. No, that's that way. Ha
Thank you.
ha! Jen the She Wolf, dude, take it away, man. This is your puppy. I
Jeff,
mean,
yeah,
doggy or wolf. Sorry.
yeah. She's my little pet.
Yeah,
She's
man.
my little pet. Jennifer the She-Wolf. She's uh, she's a New York City homicide cop,
Mm.
and in today's time, but 100 years ago, she was bitten against her will by a wolf who goes around. He's still alive today. She thought she killed him, and he's still around today. And his name is Lycan, and he wants her back. What she doesn't know is that she had kids. She has kids who she had to leave behind. One of her kids became a vampire against her will and
Ooh.
doesn't know that one and the other still exist.
Hmm.
And the daughter has the brother. He was basically food for her because she didn't know how to use her power. She didn't know, so she fed on her grandmother and her brother to survive, because the vampire never came back to teach her or to take her. Whereas Jennifer was taken after she was bitten and lived with with the other werewolves.
Hmm.
And so now the mystery is, who is Jennifer the She Wolf, where, what's chasing her and everything. And I have a couple of interesting characters in there, one of which his name is Franklin Stein. And the reason why he called himself Franklin is because he's actually Frankenstein, but he keeps remaking himself. He keeps rebuilding himself, cloning his mind, rebuilding himself. He's almost looking like an android
Hmm.
by that time, and he has these guards that he clones, and their names are the Stein guards. Think of Hulk. Think of Hulk without a brain. They'll do whatever
Ooh.
they're asked for by him. But he has one female, and her name is Francesca, and she turns against him, and
Hmm.
she fights Jennifer in the second issue coming up. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be at least 4 to 6 issue miniseries. Yeah,
Damn, it's like a monster novella.
yeah.
You just need some accompanying music when shit gets revealed. Excuse me. Poop gets revealed.
There's also I also put a handicapped kid in there, teenager,
Mm-hmm.
because I believe that we should exist in books. So in the book, he sees what she turns into by mistake, and he
Mm-hmm.
goes up to her, and he tells her, I want to be what you are, so what you can do and what you can be, maybe that'll help me walk. She tells him that this is not a gift, this is a curse. I will not do it. But I don't know if I should ruin the ending of the miniseries.
No.
I'll tell you
People
after
want to
the
know. They should read. Pick
yes,
it up, man, because this, like I said, it's like a monster novella.
yeah,
You just need the accompanying music dun, 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 when it comes up. And I love and it's true. Putting in a handicapped character is important because in the beginning, like when watching horror films, the only time I actually was like felt good about watching one, Stephen King's Silver Bullet.
yes,
You know, the kid that wound up going from a regular chair to
yeah.
this super souped up, four on the floor, little blower and all that stuff. And I'm like, what? I mean, he was going from town to, he could have went cross country with that thing with enough gas. But it was good. It was good to see that sort of thing being told because, in storytelling, nothing should be left out. If
No,
that's the character, then then tell the story of the character. People, it's not like people are going to be prejudiced. People are going to attach to a good story, and if
right.
the character is someone they can relate to, whether they're in a wheelchair or not, makes no difference. They can relate to it. Bang! You already got them. You captured them. That's it. They're in. They're fully invested in both, personally and emotionally to see what happens next. And that's a good thing. I love that you did that with your characters
Thank
as
you,
well.
thank you. We have
Now,
a
have you?
question.
Hmm?
We have a question. How did you come out with this idea for a comic book?
Mm-hmm.
I was writing comics for other um, independent companies, and I started writing this book called where is it? I have it somewhere up here. Werewolves versus Zombies.
Mm.
And I started just twinkling with the idea, like, okay, what if we take werewolf versus zombies, but now what if I use a character, my character Jennifer, using the same thing where she turns into a werewolf, but my werewolf is smart. My werewolf stays with the intelligence. Doesn't go brutal, doesn't go crazy, doesn't kill without a reason. Mine is, and she has the ability to turn maybe half werewolf where her arms and legs are, but still keep her face and
Mm.
her body normal. But she has like three different stages. One, there's a phrase that I used. It's time for me to wolf up. When she says that, she'll turn into complete werewolf, but still have control. Does she talk? No, not as a werewolf. She doesn't talk. She still growls or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But she has this mental thing where if she feels a bond with somebody, she'll kind of communicate mentally.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Have you kept like some of the lore that they've had out there with silver bullets, moonlight? Well, but
Uh,
wait, well, with her, I noticed you already said she could change at will.
yeah.
Pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure in the beginnings she was swayed by the moonlight.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see.
When the origin, she's only the moonlight. I think that's the century past. She's gotten more control. Now, whenever the
Mm.
moon is out full, she does get an extra boost.
Mm.
So
Okay. So
she's
the
strong
moonlight
already.
causes
Yeah.
a stronger version of a werewolf. Okay.
Right. Which that'll be explained later on. Yeah.
And the vampires again, same lore: sunlight,
Uh,
crosses, holy
Not so
water.
much. No. You know what I liked? I liked Bram Stoker's vampire, where
Hmm.
they can walk on cloudy days.
Yes, they're
I like that.
they're like like
Yeah.
Blade, daywalkers.
Yes. Well, my vampire, she can do that, but not like cloudy days. Like maybe as the sun is going down, she's coming out, so she could see. You know, she could see the shade and the sunlight, but she can't look at the sun directly. The sun cannot be
Okay,
out directly. Yeah.
okay, so she can't be under direct sunlight because that
No.
will
Right.
affect her in that respect.
One of the
So,
scenes. One of the scenes in my comic is that she's actually hiding in the second issue. She actually goes into a manhole tunnel,
mm,
and she has to hide there for a while.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, because I know in some other, I mean, I remember watching this show, ooh, um, and it was about a vampire detective, and but the way they cleverly did this in highlighting the show, they did it like it was an interview, like someone was interviewing him because he was a vampire detective.
Mm.
And they asked him about the sunlight. He said, "Yeah, sure, we can walk in the sunlight, but we're not as powerful in the sunlight as we are in the dark." Same thing like Bram Stoker, same idea. He
Mhm.
comes out during the day, but his powers are limited because of the sunlight. Only at night is he at his, at the height of his powers because there's no sunlight, weakening him in
S-
that respect. So yeah, I could see it. I could see how that fits with your vampire going
I
into a
know.
manhole, coming
Yeah.
out only on just cloudy days, which is the
And
sun partially
it's
covered.
funny. It's funny because when she goes into the manhole, apparently she feeds, and
Mm.
there's a scene where a crazy guy is taken into the a precinct handcuffed, and he says, "I saw it. I saw it eating. I didn't kill that person. That person was already dead. It was being eaten by another. So
Yeah.
he saw what she was doing in the manhole, the bum. You know, yeah. Somebody
Oh,
asked
that's
if
it.
I, somebody asked if I see it, to bring it to life. Like, with that, I have no say. So that would have to be somebody that discovers it and wants to do a live show on it or something.
You never know. I mean, like
Yeah,
I said, like I said about storytelling, if it's good and people get invested, yes, why
yeah,
not? It should. It should be seen, given the light of day. I mean, this is. I mean, like I said, your book is more unique than most other vampire or werewolf lores. I mean, I see some elements like in Underworld when it came to your wolf in the beginning, she swayed, but then as the century passed, she became more in control of her transformations. even keeping her intelligence. Like with the ones in Underworld, same way, they somewhat kept their intelligence when they're fully formed, but they don't speak. They're
No.
just, they're the creatures that they are, the true Lycans of who they are, and that's it.
Hmm.
And again with the vampires part, again, Bram Stoker's the other one which I saw was a vampire detective. I wish I could still remember it was, but I do remember the actor, and he was in Hawaii Five O in the 2010 version of Hawaii Five O, was playing Steve McGarrett.
Okay.
So he was the one that played that vampire detective. Like he was a new guy on the scene, and they tried him out in several different shows on CBS. The one that stuck, was that one. Commander McGarrett, head of 50 unit. He played a doctor. He played a vampire detective. The vampire detective lasted 2 seasons. The doctor, one. So it's
Well,
like it was a hit or miss, but he finally got that lock. But
somebody
remembering what you said about the vampires, that was good.
somebody asked if we can pick one of the people in the comic. Would it be the vamp or the wolf? Mm,
Uh,
kind of like the vamp.
I'm inclined to. I'm like 50-50 because the lichens also have what you call a just as long a lifespan. They're kind of immortal as long as they're feeding.
And they
The
can
same
see the
way like
light.
but thing is they are in the daylight in their human form, and of course as the years come by, they have more control of their abilities even in the daylight. So it's like, I'm more more closer to leaning toward the lichen than I would the vamp, because if the sunlight is my downfall and I've got to wait till like 10 centuries, 1,000 years before I can even truly be part of the sunlight. No, I'd rather in 1 century be able to do all of that and still have my abilities. Yeah, I'm leaning more toward the lichen in that respect.
Hmm,
I love the vampires, but in this case with your characters, I lean more to the lichen.
okay.
Definitely towards the lichen. Now, that being said,
Yes.
lichens, vampires comes to our next recommendation in horror, but not a movie. This is a TV show, and I've had
Based on a book, it was a movie.
series. It was a movie. Actually, it was actually two movies that was brought out by this writer by the name of Anne Rice. The first one was the Interview with the Vampire, with
Tom
let me see.
Cruise.
I saw Antonio Banderas. I saw Brad
Tom
Pitt, and
Tom
Tom, and of
Cruise.
course the lead who played Lestat, Tom Cruise. Now, again, in its time when it came out, it was considered good, and again, you know, people those who didn't like it were the ones who followed the book. Now, at the time, I didn't. I mean, I have to say, when I became exposed, it was after the movie. And then I watched the second one, which with Stuart Townsend, who played the part of Lestat, which was the Queen of the Dam. But again, just in the middle, just begin. I think after I watched that movie, and again, the soundtrack was excellent. I have to admit, the soundtrack was excellent. Then when I started reading it, like truly reading the book, all the books that followed, that's why I have to say, those two, nah, because the first one couldn't come close to what the movie did. As far as the book was concerned, it's like there were elements of it, and then other of it, I'm like thinking, what were you thinking, bro? It's like this, it's like tell it better. And then when they brought Stuart Townsend on to do the Queen of the Dam, okay, as far as playing Lestat was concerned, the Brat Prince, he did a better job than Tom Cruise. I'll give him that. But they combined two books into one. The Vampire Lestat and the Queen of the Dam as one. Even though, yeah, it does continue like one book into the next, but they combined it. Mm. But I'll have to give it this much: the soundtrack, excellent. I still listen to the songs now, especially on this time at Halloween, and I love it. I was like, I watch it again, but that's not the one I would recommend. AMC's Interview with the Vampire, AMC's version, it is, I would have to say, the true version of Anne Rice's book. This show, and I say show, not a movie, it's 2 seasons in. This show has definitely brought the book to life. It's like the book jumped out and bang, it's on the screen, bro. And every time I look at it, it's like I'm reminded of that moment where I was reading that in the book. I'm like, oh, and it just, oh my god, it was so good. But it gave a true representation of Anne Rice's vampires. It's like the whole idea of them being immortal. So it's I think we had this discussion before. It's like, if you were immortal, what would you do? Because in some instances, even in the book as well as shown in the show, there are vampires that literally lost their mind. It's like having the gift, as they call it, was great the first 100 years. Then after that, it's like a mind-numbing, uh, painful experience, never ending. As you wake up and you feed and you go back to bed and you wake up and
Can you imagine
no
that, Son?
purpose, huh?
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine waking up every day, watching your loved ones die?
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if you could control your hunger, and you manage to find someone, but they're gonna wither away and die. You're gonna live thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be.
And even if you chosen a mate, and as far as the books that I've read is concerned, from what I'm seeing, even an immortal mate, it becomes taxing.
Yeah.
Okay, it can become. I'm not against marriage. The whole institute. No, let me not use the word institution. You know, I'm not against that. If you find your soul and you're really happy with that someone, I mean, it does take work, but in the sense of being immortal, you're living forever. It's like 1,000 years. You're still with the same person. So they're bound to be something that, okay, there you go. And this book does demonstrate it, that immortality, living forever, never getting sick, never getting old, never dying, doesn't exactly, how can I say, work. Sometimes some people would have to have that emotional and intellectual strength in which to do that. Like, I'll say one of the two characters, well, for instance, one, Maharet. Now, she's a 1,000-year-old vampire, but as the story goes with her, she's known as Aunt Maharet. Now, she has been in the family tree, and they show, like in the Queen of the Dam, when they introduced Maharet, they did take one thing out of the book, which was true, that she was Aunt Maharet throughout the 1,000 years of her family's lineage. She disappear and then reappear, and she's Aunt Maharet for the next generation of her family. And then she disappear at a certain time. She was smart enough to disappear where it wouldn't cause suspicion when the minute she returns, and it's like, you never dated, you never aged a day. They just look at it as, oh, it's Aunt Maharet, you know? This Aunt Maharet on 300 years, 400 years later, and she followed her family tree and was a part of that family tree. And that is how she kept her sanity in that respect, by watching her family grow, influencing them, because throughout the time, there's not been a vampire that I've read in this story that's broke. I'm sorry, unless they started off, but most of these that have lived over a couple of 100 years into the thousands, they're pretty freaking rich.
Like the
I
movie
mean,
Highlander.
rich. Hmm?
Like the movie Highlander.
Hmm.
Yeah.
They're rich beyond reason. They're beyond Elon Musk rich. Okay, they're rich, 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 rich. They've had centuries of being rich. They probably hit their billion the first 100 years of their existence, before any of these things, before $1 billion was even known. So at this point, they've invested. She invested in everyone and to help grow the family, and then she disappear. 10, 20 years later, boom, she reappears. The next generation. Hey, it's a Maharet. I'm like, wow. And then what was his name again? He was also an 1,000-year vampire, and, and he, I think, no, not Armand. Armand was a 500-year-old vampire. This one was one of the keepers of Akasha. One of the keepers of Akasha. When they first became, he was just as old as Akasha, and the way he kept, and like I said, once the name comes up, I'll remember. But as far as he was concerned, he kept his sanity watching man's evolution. So in other words, he became the literal historian of of humanity. So that was how he kept his sanity, because he watched, the fall of Rome. He watched, unfortunately, the Holocaust. He watched World Wars One, Two, and well, not three, but he's watched World Wars One and Two, and was, like, again, someone who bear witness to the evolution of man from radio to black and white TV to color to the point where we're at now, computers, LCDs, cell phones, what have you. He's been alive to witness these events as they happen, and for him, that is how he kept his sanity. So that is one way of looking at that. It's like, if that's how you cope, that's how you cope. Each vampire has a way of dealing with the immortality that they have, and how they were not going to go insane from it. And it was beautifully done. I mean, I have I have to admit that, one or two did this, others not so much. When you look at Lestat, Lestat was all about the excitement. Lestat is about, how could I say it, impulse. He's the epitome of when we talk about don't act on your feelings, don't act on this. He was the one that encourages that, because he acted on this, and he didn't care. He didn't care about who. I mean, he might have had like I said, he might have passionately loved Lewis in every way that you could think of, but he also passionately loved himself a lot more.
Yeah,
To be honest, he
yeah.
loved himself a whole lot more. So that being said, it's like when I watch the show, and I'm like, damn, and I was like, and when they say the next chapter, I'm like, I'm literally doing that, and waiting to come up, and third season coming up. It's not Interview with the Vampire no more. It's the Vampire Lestat, the
So
book.
they're renaming it.
I don't think they're renaming it. I think they're still calling it Interview with the Vampire, but season 3, and they showed a highlight of it, and they show like Lestat, people making up, fixing his hair, blah blah. We're gonna go live in 3, and they're doing an interview with him. So I remember in the book, that's the Vampire Lestat. That's when, like, this is like 200 years later,
Mm-hmm.
200 or 300 years later, that he wakes up into the new world, somewhere like in 70s or 80s in the book, but in this one, he'll probably put it to modern times now. And he decides he wants to be a rock star. But I mean, he's a musician. He plays an incredible violin. So he decides he wants to be known to the world. And that causes him trouble, because, as the council, as they put it, with all the other vampires who have lived over between 500 and 1,000 years, and the clans, they're not, they're not happy.
No.
They're not happy with this, and so now there's an issue, because he's letting the world know we exist, and everybody's like going, "Shh, shut up, stop talking." So you don't want to let the now modern world know that we exist, because, like in Underworld, I think it was 3 or 4, where then the vampires and the Lycans became, to light, and then of course now the armies of the different countries are now armed and at war. I mean, it wound up anyway that the Lycans infiltrated, and they decided to use this opportunity to arm the soldiers with weapons of vampiric destruction, so that they can eliminate what they call their enemies, the vampires. Well, in this book series, is a little different. It's just trying to tell them to shut up. Right now, people are just looking at it. Oh, that's just a gimmick. He's like, what's his name? He's like Alice Cooper or anybody else that's goth and looking or whatever, saying that he's a vampire. until one of them eats him up, and then it's like, oh, no, that's not the case. But they really, and I mean, really, really did this book justice, bro. It really did, and I'm looking so forward to what season 3 and the Vampire Lestat taking over. What's going to be? I mean, Lewis is going to show up at some point, but this is the Vampire Lestat, which will lead into nothing. And I'm looking forward to who they pick and how they're going to do this. The Queen of the Dam. Oh my God, it's like
Yeah, because that was Rihanna. No, not Rihanna. What's the singer's name that died? She played Queen.
oh, I remember. It said Romeo. She was with Jet Li and Romeo Must Die. I don't
Yes,
remember her name right now.
yes, but she was beautiful.
Oh
She was
yes,
beautiful. They have to put
and
some.
it was a tragedy with that plane crash that she was taken from us so early.
Aaliyah, that was
Aaliyah,
her.
yeah, and it was a tragedy when they took that. I mean, when they took her, when that happened, I was like, I felt my heart drop. I was like, wow. I mean, granted, that was kind of like her, well, either kind of like leading role. I mean, she had a co-starring role with Jet Li in Romeo Must Die,
Yeah,
but this was a leading role alongside Stewart, where she
yeah,
was the kind of the villain in this.
and she was supposed to do the last Matrix.
That's right, and
She
I
was
think
supposed
that was replaced by
Jada Pinkett.
Jada Pinkett. That's right, she was supposed to be in it. Yes. Oh my God.
Could you imagine how that movie would have been? It would have been awesome with her.
Oh my God, yeah, because I remember her in, like I said, Romeo Must Die. There were scenes where she done some action scenes with Jet Li.
Yeah,
So picturing her doing some of that action scenes, I'm like,
and
what?
they actually filmed some of it already, and they had to go back and refilm it with Jada Pinkett.
Mm.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, of course, like I said, the rest is history. I mean, of course, she's well known in that. And Jada Pinkett wound up in the Resurrection movie. But I have to say, yo,
God forgive me for saying what I'm about to say, but right now, her and Michael Jackson should look ready for Halloween right about now, don't they?
oh, I'm not touching that one, bro. Oh, you're leaving so much room for that stuff.
They lost a
Oh
lot.
my God.
They both lost a lot of weight.
Well, they say it's feeding time.
Yeah.
The moon shall be full very
Oh
soon.
yes.
Oh my God.
And we cannot end the show without talking a little bit about Michael Jackson's Thriller, which I think will forever be known with Halloween for as long as I live, and I think that the next generation.
Oh my God. There's not a lounge that I've not gone to. There's a
No,
minute Thriller comes on, people start doing the dance.
it's like I guess before that it was the old what is it, the mash, who
No,
did the
it's
mash?
Really Mash. This
Yeah,
is the
I
monster
think,
mash. Yeah.
yeah, that
Not
was the
anymore.
no,
Not anymore.
Michael took that down,
Oh, he took that down hard, man.
and then he took
Him
it
and
down.
Vincent Price. And Vincent Price.
Yes, and he took it down again when he did the short film of Ghosts.
Oh
And
yes.
he out
What?
he outdid himself with that one too.
But that was that's with him. That's the visionary. I mean, that's the
Yes,
vision that he has. It's like he's got a child's imagination, and he was the ones that invited that sort of ideas and brought it to life when it came to his music video. So,
yeah.
you know, rest in peace, my brother. And thank you for what you've given us, and we look forward to hearing it again in another 2 weeks or so. And with that, again, I'm Monster Mo,
I'm Spooky Lou.
and thank you for another edition of us and Nerdoricans, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. And remember, it's horror month, so don't answer
And
the door.
and remember, if you trick, you must treat. Um,
No, that's not that's
different
in
show.
another realm. That's another
Oh,
type of
oh,
show
okay. My fault.
altogether.
Sorry, sorry,
No,
sorry.
no. In the words of one of the movies, go check the children.